The next presentation that we have is on delivering STP-level processing for medical underwriting in India by Mr. Nitthin Chandran, who is the CEO and co-founder of MedPiper. He has led growth for one of India's leading mobility platforms, growing them to 2.2 million plus users across 11 cities, and built the rider insurance product in carpooling, which has generated over 11 lakh policies per day. With 12 years of total experience across technology, health and growth, and sales roles with specialization in health and policy from London School of Economics, I would like to invite Nitthin on stage and take over.
Hi, everyone. So today, throughout the sessions, two major keywords were being dropped. One was, how do you cover the insurance gap in India? And second was, how do you achieve, seamless data transfer across systems, across sales, underwriting, etc. Right? And I mean, those are very nice to hear and listen to. Of course, those are important. But where we started at MedPiper is we realized that there's a much more fundamental problem that exists in the ecosystem. That is, today, in the existing domain across health, life, and term, when it comes to medical underwriting, the problems are so bad that companies today have started creating policies that just bypass them. Ticket sizes are small. They don't provide any sizable, tangible coverage. But you get to say that, hey, I'm active on a particular channel, and you can buy my product there, and people purchase a product. That is why you end up with Twitter feeds and Reddit forums with continuous complaints or barrages of hashtags that say, hey, my claims got denied. The brand is taking a hit. All because a very fundamental problem, which is a very dirty problem to solve, that is just being looked over. Nobody is looking deeper of, can we actually solve that problem? And that is where we at MedPiper come in. Can I have the next slide, please? So in terms of where the problem stands today, today any medical underwriter across every insurer, doesn't matter if they're a new age insurer, doesn't matter if they are one of the traditional insurers or PSU, the process is extremely manual, and that starts at the point of origination because there's nothing you can do about what is there on the ground. There's 100,000 plus fragmented labs across the country. Most of them are not labs, they're collection centers. You do not know the quality of samples that come in. People do not get updates on booking systems, etc. And the agents who try to manage these bookings themselves have no control over the process, right? So, and when the data eventually ends up coming to you, these are data in PDF reports. You have scans. You have centers that tell you that I don't even have scanning facilities. We will send it to a Xerox center and send it from there, right? So you end up with JPEG files. So the underwriter in these large insurer today is manually going through documentation that could be JPEG, that could be PDF, that could be handwritten MER forms. None of this data is structured. So what happens in motor today, what happens in fire, property insurance today, where you talk about, hey, there's already data coming in, but let's try to make it seamless. Medical underwriting is way, way off. Right? There are still manual operators sitting and feeding data into the system. And the data itself comes from multiple sources. BMI is eyeballed. There is no agent, there is no flebo who lands up anybody's home with a weighing machine or a scale. Somebody just looks at somebody and makes an assumption that, oh, okay, this person's BMI is, this is what is I'm going to enter as a BMI, right? And your basic underwriting starts there. And on top of it, this coupled with the MER carries % of your weightage in the underwriting process, right? And then you have to contact the customer. You have to tell the customer that, hey, here is a particular testing that you have to undergo for your particular BMI based on the particular MER that you have sent. And you have to go turn up on a lab on a particular day. Normally in India today, most of this insurance is bought by people who are employed, which means you take a holiday. You have to tell your parents that you have to do fasting. You carry them along. You land up at a lab, and the lab says, oh, we aren't even aware that you are turning up. We don't know what package you're supposed to test for. So there's a lot of breakages that exist, not just on a fundamental level that the sample collection is broken, but even the customer communication is broken. And on top of it, it is time consuming. Physical notes have to be sent across. The underwriter has to manually eyeball all of these documents. And it is resource intensive. There are manual people sitting up and calling, setting reminders that, hey, has a person turned up? Are you supposed to turn up tomorrow? Have you gone there, etc. And it is prone to a lot of human errors. Next slide, please. Yeah. And so in a sense today, I mean, we were talking to a few insurers 6 months back, and some insurers pretty much said it out loud. We think NSTP is evil. But is it true, right? I mean, there are certain factors that make it true. NSTP is very slow. it leads to sales drop-offs. And by NSTP, I mean non-straight-through process. And the premiums tend to be higher if the medical report comes out negative. And the policy issue becomes slow. So I was talking to one of the founders who talked about financing, insurance premium financing, and they mentioned that there are people who pay first month policy EMI, but they still have not got the policy document, right? And that is a hassle. Right? But at the same time, it is critical. And today in India, one of the biggest blockers that you have, biggest challenges that you have is 2 weeks back, there was a report that said that 10% of India is exposed to chronic kidney disease conditions. No insurer today as a part of their PPMC even checks for a kidney condition. That testing is not done. Right? So basically what ends up happening is today you will create micro packages. You will say, look, I don't even want to do a medical test. And therefore you will create products that basically are redundant because you are not even going after risk adverseness. You're basically saying, I'm going to negate risk. And you create these small products that are technically made viable only for a younger audience. And that leads to all these trending issues of saying, okay, look, there's bad portfolio health, there's rotten claims experience, denials are high, and these are generally low trust transactions because you do not know the quality of the people you're underwriting for. Next slide, please. And so what does the solution look like? The solution ideal in a utopian world would be, where do you get structured and structured digital data? Where do you have seamless customer experience where the flow is pretty much smooth for the customer, he doesn't even notice it? And how do you ensure that across all the channels that you're selling your products, you have standardized SLAs and standardized SKUs? You're not limited by the fact that certain channels cannot give you access to certain testing capabilities. And how do you get the intelligent data flowing from these sources back into your process? How do you remove the human efficiencies where you are sending it across to a TPA? The TPA is, escalating report, getting back from a vendor, sending it on emails to your operations team. And the last and most important thing, when an adverse decision is made on a policy premium pricing, what is your sales team communicating to the customer? Are they able to say that, look, your loading has gone up by X percentage because this is there on your report? Generally, this does not happen. When a denial happens, they are not able to explain why that particular denial happened. Next slide, please. And we boiled it down to a few key areas. We looked at it much more deeper, and we said that, look, there's about 4-5 core areas, and this is where the drop-offs primarily happen, right? Data ingestion is a problem. Clearance is impacted, which means that as the documents come in, how soon can you get through those documents? Triaging is where you look at the complete basket of data that you have about the customer and then make that decision and policy on top of it. Is there additional data that is available? Data enrichment, is that possible? Can that happen? And the collaboration across your sales channels, your operations team, your underwriting team, and actually your actuary team. Because claims have continuously been happening over the last 3 months, last 6 months, last 3 weeks. Can you ingest this data back into your underwriting systems and say that, look, dynamically, this is the risk factor that has changed across the portfolio, right? If these problems can be solved, you could make medical underwriting seamless. You could make something that is called non-straight-through process very close to a straight-through process. Next slide, please. And that is what we do at MedPiper. Over the last 6 months, we have been working with 2 of the latest new age digital insurers in India, as well as one very large traditional insurance in India. A worst case file for them takes as much as 15 days. Through MedPiper, the same worst case takes only 2 days. Right? And a good case that takes about 4 days or 5 days, it's pretty much instantaneous. It happens in a 24-hour life cycle. And because of that, next slide, please. The immediate impact that we have seen is that insurers have seen a faster application review process. Asynchronous data gathering is now happening across the value chain. The portfolio risk assessment is getting better at these insurers. These insurers actually over the last 2 quarters, they have been able to come back to us and say, hey, look, by doing these processes, these things have improved. So now let's do XYZ more. And pricing now, we've not saying out the numbers, but we have actually been able to create a delta in the pricing that these insurers have been able to make with their policy, with their channels across the field. Next. And this has directly led for the ops team and distribution team to 2 major impacts. Sales has improved and conversions have improved. For one insurer, we have been able to drive 91% of all medical writing engagement in less than 48 hours, which is unseen of in the industry. And we have eliminated for that particular insurer policy issuance delay. It is pretty much instantaneous. And for the first time in medical underwriting, they get access to structured data from the source. And when we mean the source, we mean the machines actually doing the blood panel testing. And you have API-based routing across the organizational systems. So we have our own APIs, we have our own SaaS. and we also talk to internal IT systems within these insurers. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. We not only serve insurers, we are actually India's 4th largest diagnostic aggregation services platform. We power some of the largest virtual health platforms in the country. Today, in a minute, we do about 2.7 tests. We have 82 plus data points across an individual, and all of these are clinical data points. And currently, we have a basket of about 800 plus tests. Next slide, please. And our team primarily comes from a background of people who have either been working in insurance or diagnostics. Some of the people, especially from the diagnostics, are people who set up some of the largest diagnostic chains in India. And next slide, please. So that's pretty much us in a brief. We are MedPiper. And just quickly to go through, there's another slide. We not only just give the APIs and SaaS, but we also help these insurers stitch together customer-facing portals also. So this is an example where, in the case of a corporate use case, on top of the data, they have been able to say that, look, if you want to create a wellness or an OPD basket, this is the risk that you can create. This is the risk that you already have. And these are the kind of dynamic allocations that you need to make. And next slide, please. This is for a traditional insurer who did not have any customer engagement app. For them, we were able to completely stitch together the booking journey, engagement journey, everything on WhatsApp and SMS and email, so that as far as they were concerned, for them it was a single point of integration for medical underwriting, and everything from getting the customer into the funnel to making sure that the customer has been informed of, has a policy been approved, has a loading been communicated, has a denial been communicated. Everything in between that is taken care of by MedPiper. So this was MedPiper. Thank you.